Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar hosted by Indictrans. I am Sejal, working as a marketing lead at Indictrans. It gets to see participants from across different industries, all here to explore a topic that truly impact every ERP journey. Today's section will focus on one simple yet powerful idea: understanding the difference between vision and scope, and why that clarification can make or break ERP project. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. It is Aachal. She is working as an enterprise lead at Indictrans. Aachal brings years of experience helping organizations streamlining ERP implementation and help, and she has worked closely with businesses that face these exact challenges we are discussing today. So before we begin, a quick note, please feel free to share your question in the chat box. So now without further delay, let's get started. Achal, over to you.
Thank you, Sejal, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible to you guys. Can anyone confirm if I'm audible? Great. Thank you for joining today. Good evening, everyone. And let me quickly introduce myself before we start with today's webinar. So I have already got the introduction from Sejal, but just a quick words from my end as well. So my name is Aachal Dhote. I'm enterprise lead in Indictrans. I'm having years, like 6+ years of experience in ERP consulting and sales. And I've been working with Indictrans from 4+ years. So let me just quickly share my screen to start with my presentation. Can anyone confirm if you're able to see my screen properly? Okay, great. So I take care of the entire client journey from the lead interaction to proposal creation and the project onboarding. So over the years, I've been part of countless ERP evaluations and implementation journeys. So I've realized something quite interesting while working with these projects, that why ERP implementation fails even before they officially begin. So there are some root causes, there are some factors that we have to consider. I can often tell in a very first call or initial discussions of the ERP evaluation that whether this project is going to succeed or going to struggle. So our today's topic is vision versus scope. Why ERP project fail before they start. So today we are going to focus on two major agendas. That is, first, we are going to discuss about few recurring root causes, some direct, some might be indirect, and some risk factors associated with it that silently leads to the failure even before kickoff. Second is, we are going to discuss about some practical approaches and some best practices to overcome these failures and to follow while evaluating an ERP system. We'll look everything from a practical perspective only, based on what we have seen shared within the ERP community and we have observed during the evaluation journey of ERP system with multiple companies. So change in the mindset. Let's start with that first of all. So an ERP system is not any standalone system which deals only with the specific function of an organization. Rather, it holds multiple functions, multiple departments together. So it gives you an integrated effect over the process and impacts. When we shortlist any ERP system, especially an open source ERP system, there is a change in the mindset need. That means we have to change the mindset first of all. We are not dealing with any proprietary or license-based software, which is very rigid to adapt. So this is specifically, I'm talking about the open source system. So one of the most concerns and fears or most common issues that I have been hearing from multiple businesses is that cost of ERP and time is too much. That means the implementation takes too much time and too much cost. But the beyond the financial investment, there is a very critical and overlooked factor, that is the cost of operational disruption. So what do we mean by that? The cost of operational disruption. Think about it. Like, let's take an example that if your system goes down for a shorter duration of time, maybe months, maybe like minutes or so, and what is the lost cost of the lost in productivity? If you're not able to do the period closing on time, if you're not able to do the year end or month end closing on time, or if you're not able to process the shipment on time, what will be the cost of lost in productivity? So how do we achieve that? How do we calculate that? So cost of operational disruption is nothing but average daily output value multiplied by the percentage of productivity loss multiplied by number of impacted days. So days could be in hours, in minutes as well. So why calculate the operational disruption? It is very important to calculate the overall ERP implementation budget, because that will be your first stage, or we can say second most stage while starting the ERP evaluation, because that will give the transparency to your vendors and even to your management as well. It will help to calculate the budget of overall ERP system or ERP transformation. So, however, most company fails to factor in the real cost of operational disruption when they evaluate or set the budget. So when the projects are managed properly with proper planning and discipline, all these operational disruptions or all these issues can be avoided. The next is the Ohm's law. You have heard this kind of concept, that is Ohm's law. Ohm's law defines that it's a physics concept. So it defines the voltage. What is voltage? Equals to current into resistance. So what does it define over here? So let's take an example over here, that voltage, that is V, represents the vision or drive for change, the energy that pushes the project forward. The current, that is I, is the actual adoption and progress, how smoothly the organization flows towards transformation. And R is nothing but the user resistance, the reluctance, fear, or lack of understanding that slows things down. So here, the third most risk factor is about the user resistance. So how do we reduce the user resistance? Main factor is about the inclusion. So we have to involve all the stakeholders at correct time, at the right place. So involve them at early stage of evaluation, like your stakeholders, like your project champion, your process owners, your end users, the decision makers, buyers. So we will need everyone's buying in the ERP evaluation. So with the proper training and communication, we can reduce the user resistance going ahead, because this will be the very important factor during, not only during the ERP evaluation, but even during the ERP implementation as well. Then the most common factor, or even the question that we hear from the community or from the clients are, why isn't this feature already there in the ERP? Shouldn't it be standard? That's a fair question, I must say. But here's the reality. ERP systems are not ready-made products. They are framework, first of all. So what's standard for one company or for your organization could be a custom for another. So example, let's take a basic process like approval of sales order, or maybe a budget management system. Every organization has their different needs, has their different workflows and business logics. So vendors can't pre-build every possible variation, configurations, and which is required for a specific industry. So configurations bring flexibility. So if ERP system comes with every possible aspects, every possible feature by default, it could be either overly complex or could be unusable at a time. So real strength of a good ERP lies within the ability to configure, ability to adapt within shorter duration of time with less turnaround time. So not the work way around basically. So the truth of plug and play, like the myth basically, the myth of plug and play ERP, what is it? So first of all, a true plug and play ERP does not exist. There is no ERP which you can just plug, install, and start using it from the same day itself. So ERP system requires setup, it requires data mapping, it requires data migration, it requires process mapping. Also, some process alignment we have to do, some training, hand holding. All these activities are involved to work the ERP efficiently. Think about like a smartphone. Whenever you are buying a smartphone, it is a ready to use product, but it still needs to install some applications. As per your requirement, you will do the setups and configurations, and then the product will be ready to use for you. So similar case with the ERP system as well. But it is not for the plug and play kind of a concept is not for mid-size or enterprise, because their processes and business logics are very critical. Most of the mid-size organizations fail to understand that unrealistic expectations from the system is basically you can't keep the unrealistic expectations. There has to be some correct expectations. Like if you are having correct resources to make it work, even if you are building a complex system, do you have the correct resources? If anything goes wrong, so do you have a risk handling capability in house? So there has to be these aspects needs to be considered while evaluating ERP. So what are the key takeaways over here? Go with eyes wide open, basically. Many projects or many ERP project fails because they start with vision statement, not detailed requirement. So without scope, your estimates will be merely based on an assumptions, not on a commitment. So these are some aspects that I would explain that what it differs from vision and scope. So when we talk about definition, that means a project definition. So project definition means on the vision point of view, why we are doing this. And the scope, that means what we will do it to achieve it. Ownership aspects. So vision must be endorsed by the leadership, by the management, and scope by the project team or maybe by the consultants. Time frame aspects. So vision is a long-term concept. It will be a long-term, like 3 to 5 years at least. And when it comes to scope should evolve during the phases. When it comes to change in frequency, rare. Vision should not be changed frequently. It should be very rigid. And when it comes to scope, yes, it should be frequently changed to manage or to compare with vision, whether we are aligned with the vision or not. So accordingly, the frequent changes in the scope managed per phase. When it comes to focus, so what vision focus is based on outcomes and what scope focused is about the deliverables. So at the end, the deliverables that you are getting at multiple phases will eventually align with the vision. So budget without scope. We never talk about the hidden cost, which no one talks about. So every ballpark budget often ignores the process complexity. Most of the customer ask us that, will you be able to share a budget with us? This is our overall requirement. They share a vision with us that we will need a ERP system to manage our project, to manage our procurement, stock, inventory, or overall like high level, a very vague requirement, which is nothing but a vision for them. Based on vision, we cannot share a budget with you. That will ignore the complexity. The budget that you are getting will ignore it, the complexity, data migration, and even the change management kind of a concept. So unclear scope equals to underestimated cost equals to scope creep later. So this is a very critical point that we have to consider whenever evaluating ERP. And this will definitely lead to the failure before even start. So process the precise scope protects both client and vendor from the later surprises. Generally, customer ask that T&M versus fixed cost. So what could be the best approach? We have to find balance in between these. Fixed cost gives predictability, but less flexibility. And most of the domestic clients, they go with fixed cost. They ask for fixed cost because there is a clear definition of the budget. They can define their budget overall, but they don't, uh, check the aspect whether it is giving the flexibility going ahead to manage the changes, to manage the delays. There are multiple factors that we have to consider. When it comes to T&M, T&M gives flexibility but demands stronger trust and communication. So what will be the best model? Hybrid model. So hybrid is a combination of fixed plus T&M for change request. So the key here over is transparency and frequent progress reviews. So how you can achieve it? What are the best practices that you should follow? First of all is selecting the right project champion. So you know that project champion should be there. Project coordinator should be there from both sides, even from client and vendor side. But many of us or multiple businesses generally don't think that who should be the right project champion. First of all, that person should be experienced and stable, a long-term employee who understands the organization's culture and isn't likely to leave the mid-project. Strong process knowledge, deep understanding of how different departments, functions, and interconnect. And again, like ERP awareness, that person should have the ERP awareness, basic understanding of ERP concepts, enough to bridge the communication between the vendor and internal stakeholders. The decision-making ability, that empowered to take calls, to resolve conflicts, and keep the project moving with constant escalation. Then influential communicator, that person should be respected by peers, management, someone who can motivate the team and drive adoption. So these are some qualities that you should check before selecting a right project champion. And most key factor, or we can say quality you should check, is experience and stable. Because if the project champion is changing in between, that is a very big risk for the overall project, overall ERP implementation. The discovery. So what could be the quick, affordable ways to define what you really need? So short discovery sprints or CRP, like conference room pilot. CRP means conference room pilot, which helps you to define a realistic scope fast, rather than taking a long-term requirement gathering, like taking months on months to finalize the requirement, to finalize the blueprint or VRD. We can start with quick or affordable ways to finalize the scope, which helps you. Basically, what it gives you back. So outcome is it involves the real user early, not just management, not just the process owners, but the end users, the UAT owners on the very early stage. So which will help you to define the pain points, to define their actual on-ground pain points or their struggles, which you will be able to address at the right time. Documentation is again very key aspect. Again, it's not about the BRD, but documenting the assumptions, exceptions, and integrations that clearly. Then investing small time cost upfront is in discovery stage will save a big later. So that's why discovery should be done right. So be transparent. Like what makes great proposal possible? Like I said, be transparent about your processes, systems, and the priorities from the day one. So encourage pre-discovery before quoting. So before demanding any proposal from the vendor, do your internal discovery first. Internal requirement evaluation first. Don't go with just a vision statement to the vendors. So don't skip it for speed. I know everyone wants to implement the ERP faster at the correct time, at the new financial year. You want to make it live. But if you're not ready with the overall scope, overall requirement, then you are going to spend a good amount of time in only evaluating the correct ERP and correct partner, or even the correct proposal. So treat your partner as an advisor, not a vendor. That is the main key over here. Identify modules, features, pain points associated with it, and any integration requirement. So good proposal comes from very clear communication and mutual trust. So how you will do it? So many of our customers, many of our clients generally ask how we can give you the requirement. We don't have any BRD prepared. We don't have any requirement flow ready. So how we should give it? So I'm going to help you today with just a small example. Let's take a simple scenario of an e-commerce business. E-commerce business sales order generation scenario. So this is just a small sample where we have defined multiple factors. You know that this is about the sales order generation scenario. That means the model will be selling or sales. The features which needs to be modified or which needs to be implemented within the module is about the sales order. The existing process, how you are defining your existing process, how you are doing that right now. It could be manual or in different CRM system or sales system. What are the pain points associated with it? Because there are pain points, that's why you are looking for change. No integrated process, lack of automation from the quotation or cart to sale order. So in short, no automation is your pain point. So what could be the requirement associated with it? So requirement is sale order generation from portal. You will need an automated sale order generation from the e-commerce portal. And integration requirement means like, yes, if there is automation, there is an integration from two different systems. One is about the e-commerce portal and second one is about the ERP. Then if there is a integration, there could be some touch points. What data needs to be shared? So first is, these are some few examples like sale order, customer master that needs to be synced between two systems. One is your e-commerce portal and second one is the ERP system. Item master and item prices. So this is how simple it is to define your business scenarios, define your requirement. This is very simple, crisp, short, and very authentic way to give your requirement to a vendor. Looking towards this, vendor will easily understand what is your requirement and it will save your time during the discovery or during the evaluation stage. And you will get a proper proposal with the proper estimated timeline and budget. I hope this example was helpful for you. So last but not least, like managing change smartly. So this is about not only during the evaluation stage, but it also during the implementation stage. How to adapt endless rework. So define change control process, how request will be logged, assessed, and how it will get approved timely, rather than just communicating the changes to the team and expecting them to be adopted or expecting them to be customized at the same time. So the change should be managed smartly. So prioritize the changes. This prioritization is very important during the evaluation stage as well. So impact versus urgency, or we can call it as business critical versus good to have kind of a feature. So if you are dividing this kind of a features or requirements into phases, first you will focus on the business critical aspects and then you will focus on the good to have aspects. So if you are able to communicate this properly with the vendor, they will be able to define the timeline and basically create a delivery plan accordingly. So they'll manage the deliveries of the critical part first and then the good to have feature. So communicate why. Behind every change request, there should be a why. And that question should be asked from the vendor as well. Why you need this? If that vendor or partner is not able to understand why this change is required, what impact this change will bring on the business, he won't be able to, that vendor or partner won't be able to help you with the correct impact at the end. So communication is the key, right? So that's how we can reduce the resistance and frustration both from partner and the customer. So many of you will be having a question that, yes, I'm talking about some risk factors, some root causes, some best practices about which leads to ERP failure. But what does Indictrans do when it comes to this kind of a practices? What we are doing to help our customers? So we have our USPs. Definitely, I'm going to spend some time to talk about it. So we follow a proven methodology, which is time and outcome based approach. So this time and outcome based approach, what is it? So we don't measure success by hours logged. We measure it by outcome achieved. That means our model focused on bound and result oriented deliverables and ensuring both accountability and efficiency throughout the project. Second one, we follow a process-driven implementation. When we say process-driven implementation, our approach starts with understanding your business processes, not just your software requirements. We make sure that the ERP system fits the business, not the other way around. This makes adoption smoother and results more meaningful. Third one is about the tangible benefits and ROI visibility. When we say that we will give you the tangible benefits and the ROI visibility, so we help clients to link ERP implementation directly to the measurable KPIs. So which improve the turnaround time, which will reduce the manual work, like better inventory valuation and accuracy, etc. So this is about the tangible benefits. We don't follow a traditional blueprint or BRD model. We do follow, but it's on the evolving phase. We moved away from that very traditional approach and a lengthy blueprint BRD model. Instead, we focus on as is and to be. It helps to make documentation quicker and more agile and collaborative. It keeps the project aligned with evolving needs and without losing the structure of it. Then the last, that is delay and penalty mechanism that many of vendors and customers failed. So rather than hearing from customers, we ourselves set the delay and penalty mechanism. This is for both of us. We believe accountability work both ways. So our agreement involves a clear clauses for delays and penalty, ensuring that the both client and our team stays equally committed and to the timeline and even to the quality outcomes. Because if we are not following the correct approach, we are not doing the timely delivery, there will be a penalty and there will be someone accountable. So who it will be? So for that, there should be a proper mechanism for delay and penalty, which will definitely help you to make sure that the project is implemented on time, with process, with quality, everything. So yeah, this is it for today. I hope the session was insightful for you guys. And I was able to highlight most of the root factors, or we can say root causes or risk factors, which leads to the project failure or even ERP failure before they even start. So this was more towards like approach which which generally taken by the implementation partner who are dealing with the open source system. So when it comes to license, they are, or proprietary systems, they are rigid. They don't provide that much of change. They don't entertain that much of change. But when it comes to open source and built on a low code, no code, we have a flexible solution. We have a flexible framework which needs some factors to be considered while evaluating. So, yeah, any questions? But before we wrapping up, rather than taking questions from you, let me give you some thinkers to go away. So, these are some questions from my side to you. If you have any answers for this, please raise your hands or drop the answers on the chat board, or feel free to unmute yourself to talk about it. First question is, what do you feel works better for ERP project? Time and material or fixed cost? The second one is, how often do you see scope being finalized after the project already starts? Third one is, what's your organization's comfort level with change request? Do you see them as learning or scope creep? And last but not least, what are your biggest takeaways from today's session? Feel free to answer, you guys. You can unmute yourself or raise the hand if anyone wants to answer some.
So actually, by the time they answer the question, I'm sharing the feedback link. It will take less than 30 seconds. While thinking about the answers for this question, you can fill this as well. I have shared in the chat box. So yes.
Any answer, guys, or any questions? Yeah, so there will be link will be shared for the feedback, and even some email IDs will be shared with you. So this is our email ID, that is sales@indictrans.com, and even the contact@indictrans.com. If you have any questions or to know more about our approach, how we usually help our clients to evaluate or to help them to get the right proposal and to help them to implement the ERP in the very affordable and very quality approach. So feel free to reach out to us. And for these questions, definitely I would like to hear from you guys. So please do share your feedback and answers on these links. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So yes, before we close, I would like to thank you all for joining us today and making this session so grateful. We hope this discussion gave you a few practical takeaways to help make your ERP journey more successful. A big thank you to Aachal for leading today's session. If you yet fill the form, please take a moment and fill the form, so it will help us to improve in upcoming future sessions. So thank you once again for being a part of this wonderful webinar, and we are looking forward for your answers or any questions. Thank you so much, everyone.